How's it going, guys? My name is Tavarish, and today is a very special day. I just bought a $200,000 Bentley for the price of a used Honda Civic, and I seem to have bought it sight unseen from this guy.
I had no idea it was that bad now. Purple rain, purple rain.
What could possibly go wrong? Welcome everyone to my new to me 2004 Bentley Continental GT. Now, of course, you would have known that I bought this car months ago if you followed me on Instagram and subscribed to my channel. You can go ahead and do that right now. I won't tell anyone. Now, the terms cheapest in the USA, cheapest in the nation, and cheapest in the country get thrown around quite a lot on YouTube. That last one is the one I use. And naturally, when I do these videos, I have a lot of people asking where I find these cars so cheaply. And I also have a lot of people saying that they found cars cheaper, so I'm gonna issue you guys a challenge right now. If you can find a Bentley Continental GT with a clean title for cheaper than I did, then I will personally give you a thumbs up because you got a great deal. Good job. Now, finding rare cars like this for sale is pretty hard in general, and finding them on a budget is even harder. But I do have an ace up my sleeve to help me find the country's cheapest cars. It makes it super easy. And they're also today's sponsor. I'm talking, of course, about AutoTempest.com. So some of you will know that I've been using AutoTempest for years to get my cheap cars. But for those of you that don't, here's how it works. So here's how you can find the country's cheapest Bentley. All we have to do is put it in the drop-down box. We're gonna choose Bentley right here. The model, Continental GT, and the mileage, we're just gonna put any just to have a nationwide search, and we hit search. And what AutoTempest does is the hard part. It just searches all the top car listing sites at once. And already we found some affordable candidates. We have a 2004 for $29,995, and then we have ones for $38, $38, $39, and it goes on from there. So, ooh, there's one for 25 grand. That actually looks pretty good. But this is what AutoTempest does. In addition, you see this guy right here? Yeah, you can compare with all of Craigslist, not just your local area. So you can make sure that the questionably modified Toyota Supra, the neglected SL55 AMG, or the fire damaged Lamborghini you got really is the cheapest one available. So I want you guys to check it out in the link below right now, and also try to find a Bentley Continental GT cheaper than the one I got. I dare you. Now, while the story of this car's sordid past is probably something that would make a Carfax employee burst into tears from laughter, I'm gonna go over a little bit of why this model of Bentley is special. Then I'm gonna go over why this particular Bentley is not. So back in 1994, when album covers looked like this and people dressed like this, Bentleys look like this. At the time, Bentley was owned by Rolls-Royce, the only other company that had its foot firmly planted in the grave. But it was a pretty nice grave because if you wanted to buy a base model Bentley back then, it would cost you today's equivalent of $460,000. Before options though, the options, that's what kills you. So $500,000 for a car, and the company still lost money because they didn't have an affordable Bentley. That is, until they unveiled something called the Concept Java, which looked like this. The Concept Java was destined to become the entry-level car for the brand. Entry-level meaning if you have 200 grand lying around just in a pillowcase or something. But other than Bentley making 13 or so for the Sultan of Brunei for some reason, the project never made it into production. So if we fast forward a decade past the point where Bentley changed hands with a company that brought you this, suddenly the old slabs of England that the automaker used to sell weren't good enough. They needed something like the Concept Java, but just updated to reflect the new millennium, new ownership, and a new design language. That's when they unveiled the Continental GT prototype. And almost overnight, they got 3,200 orders, despite it being the cheap one. What that means is this car single-handedly saved the Bentley brand. But even though this was the Bentley with technically the smallest price tag, it was all about really big numbers. 552 horsepower and 479 foot-pounds of torque came out of this 6-liter W12 twin turbo, going all four wheels through a 6-speed automatic transmission. That got this car from 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds and a top speed of nearly 200 miles an hour, which was right about where the Porsche 911 Turbo of its day was. The difference with this car is that it did so while weighing, no joke, 6,000 pounds. Yeah, she's a heavy girl. So when this car was brand new, it cost today's equivalent of $200,000. But 15 short years and 47,000 questionable miles later, I bought the car for a princely sum of $11,000. That is the same amount of money that you would pay for a Nissan Versa with a flat tire. I can't believe I got this thing for so cheap, but there is a reason to it, and the reason is this car's history. Now, some of you may know this car's history already because it's been on Tyler Hoover's channel, on his Hoovie's Garage channel, but for those of you that don't, here is a 30-second refresher. It was first titled in 2004 in Columbus, Ohio, where it spent 1 whole year before going to Dallas, Texas to its next owner. Then over the next year, it got passed around 2 more times to owners in the Texas area, after which it was stolen, recovered, and auctioned on the West Coast. Then it went to Miami to be exported to Finland, another word for illegal export to Russia, the land of cold winters, clinically insane YouTubers, and unbelievable dashcam videos. It was then repossessed from its next 6 owners and reported an ultimate mileage of 185,000 kilometers, which translates to about 115,000 miles. It then went back to Florida with a reported mileage of 47,000, traded hands at another auction with this guy who bought it sight unseen and quickly realized it needed way more work than he was willing to give it, with a note that said it had structural damage for some reason, which might actually be a mistake. And then he sold it to me for pennies on the dollar, and now it's here. So the question you guys are probably asking right now is, why have so many people given up on this car? And the answer to that question is money. Yeah, it's usually money. That's pretty simple, right? So this car's last 6 Russian owners couldn't afford the payments, so they had the car repossessed. And Tyler didn't want to spend tens of thousands of dollars making this thing into a pristine example, so he cut his losses and he sold it to me as a project. But unfortunately for this car, I don't have tens of thousands of dollars to spend. I do have a little bit of cash and a lot of time to burn, so I figure, why not make a build out of it and then sell it like everybody else does? But unlike every seller that this car has ever seen in its very hard life, I'm gonna make it better than when I got it. Well, at least that's the idea. Now, I know the camera can hide a lot of crimes and a lot of imperfections, so this car probably looks okay from 20 or 30 feet away, but if you go in a little closer, it reveals some interesting truths. This interior is not in good shape at all. I mean, there's panels falling apart, and there's buttons that are just kind of nasty and in a state of disrepair. Also, the front and rear bumpers, they are all jacked up. I have wheels that don't seem to fit quite right. They're too sunken in, and also the tires are completely wrong for this car. They're way too small, and also I don't think that the load rating on those tires is correct. I'm gonna have to check that later. But the most important part is the engine, and that runs, but only just. All right, let's try it. Key in the left side here, and here goes nothing. That sounds real lumpy. The car is shaking, and it doesn't seem like it's running on all the cylinders. That does not sound good. It does not sound Bentley-like. All right, just gotta pull this nipple right here and oopsie daisy. So this massive W12 that's looking a little sorry for itself, it's actually feeling a little sorry for itself too. According to Tyler's mechanic, the Car Wizard, this car needs at the very least a valve job because this car has low compression on one entire side of the engine. That means 6 cylinders are basically not working, which means that instead of being a 12-cylinder twin turbo, it's a 6-cylinder single turbo. It's basically a Supra. No? Okay. So my next video is gonna be everything wrong with this impossibly cheap Bentley, but priority number 1 is this dirty lump in the engine bay. Instead of taking out the engine and fixing the issue, I'm just gonna replace everything in the drivetrain that needs replacement. And seeing as how I can't fit my hands in the engine bay anywhere, I think it's gonna be one of those nightmare jobs that requires me taking off a million other things just to get to it. Well, the idea is, since this car has very likely had an odometer rollback or 2, I want to restore it to the 40-something thousand figure mileage it says it has, and refurbishing everything that doesn't look like it belongs in a low mileage Bentley. And after I get all of this done, I'm going to be selling it both as a cheap and really well-running, well-sorted example, not to mention the most famous Bentley on the internet, which has got to be worth something. No? It's not worth anything? What do you mean it's worth less? Anyway, be sure to subscribe to my adventures with this awesome luxury car, because I'll definitely be ripping my hair out over the next few weeks trying to fix it. Look at what the last project did. I'd like to thank AutoTempest.com for sponsoring this episode. Check them out in the link below. It really is an awesome resource if you want to find a cheap car. It doesn't matter if it's an exotic or anything else, a daily driver or a project. It really works. I've been using it for years. Also, if you'd like to buy one of my brand new shirts, Knowledge Equals Horsepower, then that's available in my Teespring store for a limited time. I'm only going to have these until January, and then we're going to have a brand new run of shirts. So if you want this, then that's only going to be there for the next few weeks or so, and then we're going to go on to something else. And as always, all the proceeds from these shirts go directly to charity at the end of every month. So it's a good cause, it's a good shirt, at least I think so, and it's a win-win for everybody. So if you guys want to contact me, you can do so at the social links down below. I love talking with you guys, and let me know what you think about this car. Is it too much? Or not enough? I think it's probably too much. But until next time, this is me reminding you guys that on cars like this that have had 10 neglectful owners but will still be the shining beacon of luxury that I know it can be, you guys need to wrench every day.